Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Gate, and today we are continuing our playthrough of Europa Universalis 4 with the Anbennar mod. We are the Moon Tracker Centaur Horde, and our first session was quite the crash course in what exactly that means. These mods can be full of surprises, and this one was more surprising than most. With us being pushed to war at a breakneck speed, and even having accomplished that, having accumulated several subjugated nations, more than you could normally have in a normal game of EU4, we still have a clear competitor who may yet be more powerful than us. That having been said, they are now in a slightly more difficult position than we are, in that we can still pick on our neighbors to the east as a route of expansion, whereas they are almost completely walled off. Admittedly, the Star Riders here are still free, and we can't declare war on them ourselves as we have a peace treaty. But let's see, Battle Song. Battle Song does not have a truce with Star Rider, so in theory they could go through them and go east. We also control the only route to the south, which a little earlier exploration showed us that we weren't quite ready at the time to take on the nations to the south. But I suspect that might have changed with intervening time. Now, another thing that I would like to do, as the game struggles to, there we go, struggles a bit with catching up with the first day back, is bring all of my troops home. Although it looks like I don't have a viable path for that one. Who are you subjugated by? Battle Song. Alright, I stand corrected, in fact. If they can, this is one of theirs, and they can just go that way. I'm going to ask them for military access. Royal marriage offer from Golden Tremor. Golden Tremor is one of my subjugated hordes, so why not? Now, the reason why I'm pulling back to my home first is that while I have been trying to ignore a lot of mechanics, including, in particular, the... Well, I was going to say something about the estates mechanic, but oh, I guess we're cut off from that. Well, I guess we are going to continue not interacting with the estates mechanic because we do not have it. That's actually very surprising that they would remove that. The reason why I wanted to interact with it is that while it is normally a big pain to keep up with every interaction that one might want to do with the estates, the fact remains that they are another way of getting monarch points. And we are gaining monarch points so slowly that one more in each category would go a long way. Especially since, as mentioned before, we do not want to fall behind on military tech. Let's just uncheck these so that notification goes away. Well, the thing to do now would seem to be that's a little bit of a problem. Well, first, let's cancel military access here, as we do not need it anymore. And there is a limit to how many diplomatic relations you can have. Normally, our as you can see, the one vassal we have, Cloudbane, counts against it. Whereas the special case this game is set up for us with the subjugated nations does not, despite it being an awful lot like vassalization. The royal marriage takes up a slot. The military access did as well. Not that we are at any particular shortage of potential diplomatic relations. But next, as soon as we get our diplomat back, let's ask for military access here because our next most viable target, a solitary independent nation that we don't currently have a truce with. So I really want to scoop up the Red Stallions before someone else does. So we're asking for military access from Blazing Sky. And then we are going to declare war on Red Stallions under the Centaur subjugation, Casus Belli. By the way, this is Latin for cause for war. Interestingly enough, you actually can declare war on a nation if you have no casus belli at all. And also if you have a truce with a nation. But doing so gives you a nasty hit to your stability. And stability, well, it's expensive to recover. Now, this is interesting. This province has an actual fort, a castle. Most of these have had only the castle that exists for it being your capital. Whereas this has a real one, which is tougher and requires a greater number of regiments to be standing there in order to maintain the siege. So let's give them enough. Now, another thing I want to explain while this is going on. Oh, that's a nice start, though. Sooner or later, we are going to need to turn against the humans up here at the lake, and I was a little bit worried about that, as they are already Tech 3, and since they also already have the Renaissance, they can actually advance in... Sorry, not the Renaissance, feudalism. They already have feudalism. They can advance in tech faster than we can. So it's not out of the question that once we do finally get around to fighting them, once the horde has built up large enough, as well as hopefully whatever other events are going to be steering us in that direction. They might be Tech 4 while we might still be on Tech 2 ourselves, which is a problem. However, between sessions, I did open the game up and check the military units of this tech group, the Triunic Tech Group. And it turns out that, as I suspected, their units are not this good. Our units have these 6 pips for shock to morale. Theirs only have 2 pips total, which means that we will be at an intrinsic advantage. Not an enormous one. We're not 3 times as powerful as them, the way that might sound, but still substantially more powerful. Perhaps enough to give us the edge we need to overcome their technological advantage. And that's another nation subjugated. And their other war has ended, which means there should now be... Yes. These... Yes, these guys have a truce with us. Okay. No free independent nations, but these guys are subjugated by Black Charge, and that is only a single other nation. And they don't have truce with us. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I guess it just doesn't show the other way around. That having been said, that whole group does not appear to have a very large army between them. So let's go to war. Let's slow things down a bit, so I can show you perhaps a little bit of what I've been talking about. If I can catch them, as they are attempting to run away. Wise of them. Now they've got maneuver 1, I've got maneuver 0, so they are literally faster than me. I might not be able to catch them. catching them at this point depends on relative choice of... Oh, geez. Have to go wide around there. Yeah. Um... Alright then. I guess it's time to besiege. Split my army in half so we can do this a little bit faster. And let's speed the game itself back up. Uh-oh. Looks like one of my minions is in a little bit of trouble. It's fine. Here's a handy thing. You see this army is now, this lock means that they are committed. They can't change their mind and decide, you know what, I'm not going to go that way after all. It is good managing to flatten a few more enemy armies before they can rebuild. Or worse, join with one another. So as you can see, there are actually now 11,000 troops on the enemy side, which is actually more than they had when I declared war. They're hiding out there somewhere. Thank you, Golden Tremor, for continuing to be the loyal vassal. Or, well, you know. Now, we are finally running worryingly low on money. Ah, truce with Sunrider has ended. Who's Sunrider again? Oh. Our truce with one of our own subjugated followers has ended. I could declare war on them if I wanted to. But yes, we are low on money, and while we are losing money, I'm not especially worried about it, because most of that is simply going toward reinforcements. Still, we have worn through the massive bank that we started with, is not exactly ideal. There is some risk that we will need to start taking loans if we run into the negatives. And as you can see, the value of our loans is only 2 ducats, which will not last long. Similarly, there's the option to debase our currency, which is also only 2 ducats. So we don't actually have any good options for if we run out of money. So instead, I'm going to want to start taking steps to ensure we don't run out of money. Although, in a manner of speaking, the fact that we are nearly out of manpower takes care of some of that by itself. Not in an ideal way. Although we've been getting the bulk of our money from the mission tree. Bulk of our manpower. Did I say money? I meant manpower. Wow, now that's an impressive fort. We are going to be here for a while, so let's not commit any more to that siege than we absolutely have to. Manpower equals money. In a manner of speaking, you're right, but in this case, I soon will not have enough centaurs to reinforce as my troops get killed. And even sooner, as I have 2 disease outbreaks in a row on this siege. 3 disease outbreaks in a row. I am actually running out of manpower right now. Let's do the prudent thing. And, oh, the siege is over. Okay. I was going to pull more off of that, but it's fine. Okay. It looks like this is also someone I don't have a truce with. Somehow. Alright, let's subjugate. Oh, wait. You are subjugated by glorious charge. Who's glorious charge? Oh, I thought I did have truce with them. Did it just run out? Oh, well, regardless. Everybody join up here so I can, once they're all... Once the black flag is gone, I can join them all together into a single army again. Ah, and there it is. The massive horde mission. And as mentioned, I now have manpower again. And each of these missions also gives me a progressively larger reduction to land maintenance costs, which means I hopefully still won't need to worry about money and am actually making it back. And some plans needed to change about pathing because some nations moved. Uh-oh. Thought I was only going to take on the little fight. Instead, I took on a big one before I was quite meaning to, but it worked out fine. That's a little weird. Usually, your enemy in a war having military access means that so do you. But there are anomalies in the system. Oh wow, we are making a lot of money. And we can advance in tech. And yes, I'm going to want to immediately. And thanks to that, we can now drill our army, which is a special action that I will probably not want to do because we are fighting constantly. And our morale increased by half a point, which will allow us to overrun our enemies even faster than we have been. How about you? Still Tech 3, huh? Ah, these guys up here are Tech 4. Well, at the very least, when we go to war with the humans, it won't be as bad as it theoretically could have been. And we need 3 more subjects for the final mission of the chain. Honestly, let them run around like chickens with their heads cut off. They're no threat to me. Oh, we're at war with them now because they are freshly subjugated. Taking a moment to look for new targets that might have popped up. Unfortunately, I think we have a truce with basically everyone out east now. Let's leave just a single unit behind there to help our vassal with that siege. Oh, there's something interesting. So this is this nation right here colonizing. Which is another way you can expand your nation. And something I'm going to want to do to this whole region. Probably. They now have an army of 21. I must confess that does make me a teensy bit nervous. But I have an army of 17,000. And it looks like I'm actually building up enough money that I would rebuild a bit. Build a bit of a bigger army. And not worry about it too much. these two factors that it's asking me to choose between. Army tradition allows me to recruit better generals, whereas professionalism is this bar here, and it gets filled up by that mechanic I mentioned earlier, drilling, which admittedly I could do while waiting for this war to end. Show you what that's like. But I would rather go for the army tradition. Which is interesting because I believe you get a better general for every 20 army tradition, which means that I could actually probably recruit a better one right now. Why, yes. This new general is a lot better than the previous ones. We now have too many generals, meaning it's going to penalize our military power gain. We definitely don't want that, so let's fire the old one. In fact, let's see about getting this general into this siege. You can't assign a general while in enemy territory. You also can't drill without a leader, which admittedly we can then just assign our ruler. Drilling, as you can see, takes away all of their morale, so if I were to get in a fight while drilling or immediately after drilling, that could be devastating. Aside from filling up your professionalism bar, this here, with all the little perks that come with that you can see there, mostly tiny perks, but every little bit helps. It also does this, having small buffs applied to the army itself. And having the new general assigned. Ooh, Bruce is expired. Having the new general assigned to the siege has sped things up quite a bit. And now that siege is over. 100% war score. Since, like, you don't need, in normal game of EU4, you don't need 100% war score every single war. Just enough to get them to agree to whatever you're asking for. But so far, for the most part, getting them to agree to be subjugated has required 100% war score. So that's what we've been doing. And now I will stop drilling so they can recover morale while this troop comes home, because we've got another war to fight. Well, this isn't what I meant, but it's definitely something I'm going to want to clean up. Wow, Battle Song is really breathing down my neck, aren't they? Also, there is a hotkey to detach just enough to siege. It's D. That having been said, I often find it's prudent to have at least a little bit more than the bare minimum, because disease outbreaks are a thing. And while you have fewer than the bare minimum, the siege does not progress. Ah, our Khan just died. If your ruler dies while you're at war, you lose stability. And now our queen is the regent, which is fantastic because she is a way more competent ruler than he was anyway. That having been said, I think... Okay, first of all, we have more than enough administrative points just lying around to just bring that back up. Not that having low stability did us that much harm. The biggest impact stability has is your unrest in each province, which can cause rebellions. But since our only province is our capital province, our stability, or rather our unrest in this one and only province is absurdly low, negative 6.1. There's not a lot that can happen at this juncture that can cause us to have a rebellion. Well, some random events will do it. How big is your army? Only 19,000. Note that they have infantry, but presumably because of vassalized ogres. Which means that they're actually a little bit less scary than these guys down here, despite appearances. Let's, oh, we actually don't have a backup general anymore because our ruler just died. This tells me that I want to go to war with Battlesong, presumably now. Let's click the Allow Attach button, which will hopefully encourage our set of actually loyal vassals, subjugated nations rather, to attach to us. And we've actually rebuilt quite a bit of money as well, so let's build a slightly bigger army of our own. Drop a paranoia save, though I really think I won't need it. And time to take on our greatest enemy yet. The enormous, alarmingly powerful Battlesong. Wait. Did I do a stupid? I used the wrong casus belli. I do need this save, but only because I wasn't paying attention. Like a dope. Oh, yes, and let's end this war, because there's no reason not to. Now, declare war, and the casus belli we want is centaur subjugation, which we need to wait 3 days for our diplomat to come home. Wait for our computer to catch up. Centaur subjugation. Alright, let's do this. Alright, there's the Battlesong army, which is less than 9,000. That's comforting. Of course, our smaller army is over there getting picked on. And forced to run away. Which means that we are now taking on this fight without a general. They have a 1-2 general, which isn't great, but it's manageable. We're fine. And honestly, I think this fight might decide the war just on its own. And, let's slow this down so I can explain a little bit of what I was talking about earlier. Currently, this battle is in the fire phase, so their general's single fire pip is providing a +1 to this die roll. Our centaurs themselves have 0 fire, so the amount of damage they can do in the fire phase is a bit less. Let's let a couple of days go by. Now we're in the shock phase. Their general has 2 shock, which is adding to their roll of 9 for an 11, which isn't good for us. And our centaurs have 2 offensive shock pips, 2 defensive shock pips, so they will inflict more casualties than if they had none, and take fewer casualties. And that's the big difference that will be made when we eventually go to war with the humans. Oh, wow. Thanks in no small part to the fact that they just rolled an 11 and we rolled a 2, it looks like we're actually going to lose this fight. Which is not good. Alright, No? No? This might... We are now in a very iffy position. See, they are nearly out of morale. This army will arrive on the 13th, so in 4 days. So if we can end this fight in 4 days, then this will be a fresh battle. 11, 12. We could not. So I think we just want to retreat now. We lost, unfortunately, a lot more soldiers than they did. So that wasn't the greatest. Things would have gone a lot better if I had reunited my army first, but I was chasing down their little armies with my little army, and that ended up biting us in the butt. The Ruinbringer army has attached to mine, and it has literally 0 soldiers in it. That's kind of funny, actually. Oh. One of the, troops I started building right when I began this war just finished. Fortunately, each individual regiment is reinforced kind of independently. So the fact that we have losses in every regiment except for the brand new one means that we're going to recover our army size pretty well at a rapid rate. Let's crush this smaller army over here. Would be very nice if I could get at least a little bit of help from my subjects. Alright, what you see here is I've actually made a bit of a mistake again. Um, the when you engage in battle, it's often wise to consolidate regiments first, which will, you know, turn them into groups of 1,000 as much as possible. That way, your full strength regiments are clashing with their full strength regiments, and if you just click consolidate, it will reduce the total number of regiments, whereas if you shift consolidate, it will leave 0 strength regiments behind, thus allowing them to be reinforced instead of needing to rebuild them from scratch. So yes, my army, after running back home again, is immediately turning around and coming back. And let's not do this the stupid way this time. And let's speed up slightly, because I don't need to be on speed 2. Alright, as that was the last... Since reinforcements come on the 1st of every month, that's the last set of reinforcements we can expect before we re-engage in battle again. So I'm going to shift consolidate, and now you can see exactly what I was just saying. We have a lot of regiments with 0 centaurs in them, but we have 9 with 6 centaurs, rather, 9 with 1,000 centaurs in them, and that's what's going to be facing this army. So hopefully things don't go as poorly. See, now the battle is ending too quickly for these guys over here to even try to reinforce. And I will shift consolidate again. Turns out shift consolidating was not the most helpful thing in the world in that instance, because we did get another reinforcement again before the real fight. And this is a nice one. Leader trait gained. Hard-earned battle experiences given our general, Golny Birch Chanter, the defensive planner trait, allowing our units to take 10% less shock damage. Well, at least they're willing to help me with the siege. And now the entire enemy army is less than 6,000, which means that my personal army is perfectly safe. So let's speed things back up a little. And as our army has become a little bit reinforced, I will split off a unit in order to go around and besiege a little more myself. As you can see, it hasn't really mattered much up to this point, but this is the only fort in this nation. Only forts go through this whole percentage process of sieging out slowly over the course of months. As you can see, my single troop here and this single troop from the Star Riders are able to run around and besiege these unfortified provinces in a single cycle. Although, if I were to do the siege, say I was to move this army, this is a real fort, not just one of those free capital forts. If I were to move this army, this fort would automatically unsiege, or, flip this sieged province back to battle song control. They provide control for all adjacent provinces. Oh, I can tech up again. Oh, excuse me. Not that diplomatic tech does a whole lot for me. As I have no navy. A little bit of extra trade efficiency, so I'll be gaining a little more money from trade. Not that I gain much money from trade at all. Really, just a microscopic amount. But there's no reason not to take it, and I will be able to gain further benefits later. Yes, this siege is complete, so I'm going to split this army up and siege a little bit faster. Actually, let's take advantage of this properly. You go there, you go there. Now the Golden Tremors have found their confidence. Honestly, how these things decide whether or not they want to fight is something of a mystery to me. Now, it does make me a little bit nervous that this might cause me slight problems for Liberty Desire because, one thing that goes into Liberty Desire is how big my followers' armies are, but another one is economics, and they have a lot of land. I still have this 2 base tax, okay, 5 total development, whereas they have a minimum of 3 per province. Looks like a, oh geez, wow, Cathbar is powerful. 20 development in this province. I wonder how it got that way. Like, is it the one valuable province to start? Did they spend a lot? Or maybe it got boosted a lot by events? In any case, their economy is a lot greater than mine, which could have consequences. That having been said, having impressive subjects hasn't really been that much of a problem so far, so it's a risk I'm just gonna have to take. And as you can see here, in order to siege even these little unfortified provinces, you need a full 1,000 strong regiment. And since I have actually run out of manpower, uh, even the small amount of losses I take for attrition, generally 1% per month, is enough to make it so that I cannot siege like this. So I'll just pull off a few troops from this army. Although I could just leave more of the work to my vassals. Yes, I keep using the diplomatic map mode to check who all am I actually at war with. What else do I need to besiege? Once again, the benefits of having a 2 siege pip general. This siege is already ahead of the one that's been going on much longer. And now it's halted altogether for not having enough troops. Now we are going to gain troops a little bit, very slowly. As our manpower restocks itself and is immediately filtered back into the armies. Of course, not if we keep losing more in the siege than we are recovering every month. Let's actually split you. Wow, there are actually a lot of proper forts out here. So many sieges we've completed needing only 2 regiments, and now it's 6 almost every time. Can we end this war yet? Yes. Okay. Really? They rejected the peace offer. That's a very unusual thing to see, because, like it says right here, these are the terms. Generally, this is everything that goes into deciding will they accept the peace offer or reject it. Oh, well, they accepted it this time. And now we are a colossal horde. Which means that we now have no reason to try to pursue this tree anymore. It is actually finished. Which is part of the reason why I was holding off from certain other things. One thing I wanted to do is maybe settle this horde. We can settle if we have at least 2 cities. We might be able to do that. Because we have one actual vassal around here somewhere. I think they might allow us to annex one of the subjugated nations, as if they were a vassal. Huh, that's interesting. Too few rivals. No valid rivals. Thank you, game. And as I feared, all of our subject nations now have greater than 50% livery desire. A lot of them have 100. That's actually pretty scary. But completing that mission gave us a whole lot of manpower, which will allow us to rebuild our army properly. And doing that will help reduce their liberty desire. In fact, it looks like we want to build up our army bigger than it has ever been before. And of course, my diplomat's working on improving relations with my subjects is also helping a little bit. As you can see here, the another nation's opinion of us caps out at 200. We can improve beyond that, and it just means that as the improved relations bonus declines, our relationship with them, their opinion of us rather, will remain at 200 for quite a while. Okay, that small increase to our army size is not enough. So let's keep building. Really want to see one of these numbers dip below 50 so I can look into possibly annexing one of my vassals. Annexing a vassal is a diplomatic way of making another nation just officially part of your nation. So we will have 2 of these moon tracker provinces. And said, what are the requirements to be the Great Khan? Regency is almost over. All right. Well, needs to be at least the year 1500, and then I need to meet one of those other 3 requirements. Any of those 3 will do, but win 35 wars. It's way more feasible than winning 150 battles, since we have currently only won 30. Kind of interesting. This is the first time I've seen that either of those factors tracked. I would rather like to become a settled horde, though. One of the things that it grants is colonists, and then I'll be able to spread like they're doing. That's actually probably what they did, as they became a settled horde. Now they'll let me rival the Wild Hunt. Still gaining money pretty fast here, so let's recruit some more centaurs. And now we can advance in administrative tech. May support rebels. That's interesting. I'm pretty sure that's usually a late game tech. Production efficiency increases slightly, so I will be making a tiny bit more cattle. And I can make a mage tower, which is a... Unsurprisingly, this is a building that is added by the Anbennar mod, which allows me to... it reduces the costs to develop a province. It's also horribly expensive. I will not be building it anytime soon. As you can see, my regency is ending because my heir is turning 15. His skills are slightly less good than the queen's, but not enough so that I'm too unhappy about it. He's also got an average claim, which claim below 50, I want to say, might cause someone to challenge him for the position of Khan. That having been said, any rebel is going to spawn right here. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be... I kind of doubt that they can spawn in a size anywhere near big enough to actually threaten me. Huh. I'm actually moving farther away from being able to annex any of these. That's unfortunate. Possibly because my... Well, actually, I'm almost certain it's because Battlesong is building an army, and therefore my followers' collective army is becoming more powerful just relative to mine. But I can afford it, so I'm going to continue building up my own army. It's just a good idea in general. Oh, well, that's a slap in the face. Kais the Khan II is now malevolent. While ruling Moon Tracker, it will give us liberty-desired subjects plus 5%. Thanks, game. Seems like you really don't want me to settle my horde. Well, at least a bunch of my truces just expired. Honestly, I don't even want to send the entire army. Yeah, the Wild Hunt has become pretty large and gained a worryingly large army. Not so large that I can't take them, but still. He needs time to just go to war with the humans. How big is your army? Not very big at all. That would get me a second province, if I can take land from them. Oh, I have no casus belli. I thought there was a built-in one just for being a monster attacking. I have a conquest casus belli on these guys. Of course, actually getting to them to siege them out might prove tricky, but I might be able to get access through there. Oh, wait. Okay, I'd have access to this just by default, because I would be at war with them too, so I would only need access through... wow. Um, Vanten Hasadna. That's too many consonants. That's not allowed. How would you feel about giving me military access? Oh, they'd be down for it. So, yes, war with humans. It might be about time. Actually, as they have collectively an army of 10,000, I see very little reason not to go to war with them right now. I only need 2 in order to maintain this siege, so let's pull off most of them. And this, you see, gives me what I want because it is a conquest casus belli. Wait. Hmm. Can I take land in this peace offer? It's been a while since I've wanted to try. I can't get them to cede provinces. Okay, the thing that's throwing me off here is that it's telling me 100% cost and whatnot for what? What peace deal can I use? Conquest tells me that I should be able to take land using this war. But it doesn't actually say that there, and in a normal game of EU4 it would. So I'm going to make another save, just because I am being confronted with a mechanic I do not understand. And, it's human fighting time. Split off, you know what, actually? Oh, these are actually connected. That's actually even easier. Oh. I'm... I forgot about the all-important factor that you can only take a straight crossing. Well, that you can't take a straight crossing if it's blocked by enemy ships. So... let's see if we can go around the long way. No, not you. This is awkward. Oh, hey. These are some of the guys I'm at war with. Wait, aren't they? Okay. Ah, that's where the fort is. I missed that there's a tiny little province in the middle there. Oh boy. You group up there. Oh, sure, let's just gain some spontaneous army tradition. And we won this war, going on off to the side. So that's one more subject for us. And split this army in half. Just so that my entire army does not face the consequences of the siege. Wow, I'm getting a lot of loot from this. And they're sieging that back, but that's fine. Not too worried about it. Although, keeping an eye open in case they decide to make a move on me. Although at this point, if they were to kill some of my vassals' armies, they'd actually kind of be doing me a favor. All right. So this is something handy. In the background, we've been accumulating this thing called Splendor, which allows us to pick up just a little perk of some sort. +1 tax, +1 production, and +1 manpower when colony finished. Well, we are hoping to colonize. Admittedly, this only applies to the current age, the age of green tide. I don't know when that ends exactly. But if we can take advantage of it, the advantages will be enormous. And none of the rest of these seem that appealing. This one, adaptive combat terrain, +1 combat bonus in terrain of capital, is kind of nice, but as it seems I can now steamroll just about everyone around me, I don't really need it. That, and it only applies when fighting in steppes, which a lot of this is steppes, but I'm now just a little bit more worried about what's going on up north. So we are taking higher developed colonies. Should we manage to colonize, our colonies will be twice as good. And there we have it. Disease outbreak. Just as I was afraid of. When you are sieging a province, you're also going to loot the province, which gives you a bit of extra money until this bar here runs out. And it's run out here too, which means that I'm now back to no loot, just this little bit of money. But since that's still a nice little bit of money, I think I'll build up my army even bigger, hoping to someday have loyal vassals again. Another benefit of forts is that they're what really counts towards your war score, and if you want to ask for individual provinces when you make peace, you cannot ask for a province if you haven't sieged out the nearest fort, or at least a fort in the area. Not sure what the rules are exactly, because I often end up just sieging out a ton of forts, or all of them anyway. When you're dealing with small nations, it doesn't really... There's no difference. There's often just one fort. Gift to the state. The nobility and the businessmen of the realm have decided to reward our good governance of recent years by donating cash to the treasury. Some out of pure patriotism, others in exchange for honorary titles and positions. So we can just gain 10... Oh, the unit of money is crowns in this game instead of ducats. Or gain 10 prestige. Well, honestly, we're pretty good for money. So a little bit of extra prestige would not go amiss. See, now something we could potentially do. Well, for one thing, we could make a separate piece. Ah. This was all wasted effort. Cannot select this province because Moon Tracker cannot make it a core. This is a bit of an unfortunate characteristic. There is a limit to how far away a nation can be and allow you to core it, which is something you do after you take it in a war. You make it, you do the administrative process to make it officially a part of your country. But there is a limit to how far away a nation can be and allow you to do that. And over land, these distances tend to be very, very short. They're a lot longer over the ocean. So if our nation were, say, right here, we could probably core anything around here. But since we are landlocked way the heck back here, no such option is available to us. So the exact purpose for which we started this war, which is taking some land from the humans so that we could become a settled horde, is actually probably literally not possible, which is very annoying. And has me tempted to just reload the old save so we won't have wasted this game time, in-game time. But first, excuse me for a minute. And I'm back. And you may be thinking, but Kautson, that sounds like a base game mechanic. Shouldn't you have known this would be a problem? And yes, I should have. I guess I just got too used to being able to grab new subjects wherever I wanted. Oh wow, nearly all of my subjects are at 100% Liberty Desire. Holy crap. Now, I thought there was a way I could demand provinces. Maybe it's a diplomatic action. Normally, it's something I wouldn't want to do. As it would, boost Liberty Desire. But as every single one of them, well, nearly every single one of them is at 100% Liberty Desire. Anyway, I really want to make one of these provinces mine. Ah, there it is. Seize land. Can have at most 50 Liberty Desire. Yeah, that's not surprising. So, with no real benefits to have gained from this war, I'm actually going to load. Now, the next thing I would like to try in order to attempt to, gain a second province and become a settled horde is do a little bit of migration. I've been able to migrate this whole time, and so far I've taken no advantage of that because, well, I already put a little bit of development into this province, so why would I want to move from it? Well, turns out the answer to that is so that I can neighbor different nations, specifically Thousand Voices. Hopefully, if I actually neighbor someone, I can conquer them, make their land mine, and, you know, move on to the next stage of this game. Now... cannot migrate while at war. Okay. So, let's send... Let's give it a second to adjust and remember what's going on. And, send the siege leader over so that this war can finish sooner. And then we can get on that migration. Malevolent. Like a mean joke. Alright, we are now not at war, so let's migrate. Oh, I actually get a little bit of monarch power from migrating. Maybe I should have been doing it all along. It's fine. Now I have to wait before migrating again until... only a year. Excellent. Now hopefully there won't be any new surprises. And I will be able to conquer 1,000 voices and move into a new stage of this game the way I wish. Sort of considering picking up a new advisor for the first time ever. After all, I can certainly afford an advisor. But as you can see, aside from being able to, aside from granting me extra monarch points, each one grants me a small perk of some sort. One of these perks being increased improved relations. But honestly, it doesn't seem like anyone is really that upset with me for the wars, weirdly enough. Diplomatic reputation might also factor into this. Not that, but, this. I don't see a factor. Oh, wait, there it is. Moon Tracker diplomatic reputation is actually increasing, presumably because my diplomatic reputation is poor. Ah, yes, because I am a monstrous nation, I'm getting a -1 to diplomatic reputation. So, I could improve that by 1, which would drop all of these by 3%, which isn't exactly huge. So I'm probably better off spending my money making my army all the bigger. And this, aside from allowing me to become a settled horde, will increase my total development. The conquest, that is. Migrate again on the 18th of not February. Please, please tell me I can just... Okay. I can only do the Centaur subjugation here. This is very frustrating. Because I know I've seen other Casus Belli. And Thousand Voices is the ruler. So it's not just that I can't do it to someone, indirectly, someone who's got another overlord over them. Okay. I just need to wait a day. That's a huge relief. Okay. So, Tribal Feud will allow me Conquest, and Monstrous Conquest will allow me Conquest. And the War Goal, well, it doesn't really matter. I'll be able to take them on regardless. This one will get me slightly less aggressive expansion, which all along is something that I haven't had much reason to be worried about. But still, no sense taking more aggressive expansion than I need to. All right, time to finally gain some land. I'll detach a siege because I can't possibly bring this entire army to bear all at once anyway. And a little bit surprisingly, I completely stack wiped them. Supplement that siege. Let's let you supplement that siege. Oh. Detach siege and keep moving. Of course, ultimately, I will be wanting... I was going to say I will be wanting my siege leader over here, because that's the capital that I'm actually concerned about, the leader's capital. But these are all fake forts anyway. So, presumably the one that should take longest is the one I start last. Of course, with the random elements to siege in this game, that's far from guaranteed. It says they still have 7,000 troops somewhere. But where? Ah, found them. That's good. All right. Detach a siege. And also... Oops. Leave the leader behind because he is an awesome siege leader. Oh, I can gain another military tech. Which, you know, the great thing that I was afraid of. Tech 3 and Tech 4 are arguably the most individually important techs in the game. I would be much less afraid of going to war while I am on Tech 4 and my enemy is on Tech 5. A lot less to worry about that way. So, speed the game back up so that these sieges finish. Oh, good harvest. That sounds lovely. Well, administrative power is definitely more valuable to me than money. Now the war is almost over. Fingers crossed that it hasn't all been for... Yes. See what I was saying about the aggressive expansion? Taking two provinces, and one of them actually has boosted aggressive expansion because they're not actually who I declared war on. Or maybe it doesn't matter because they're a subject. But in any case, I'm taking two nations, and for it, I get 3 aggressive expansion, which is a tiny amount. It basically means that these nations' own opinion of me is going to go down by 3 out of a possible 200. Except that, of course, these nations are about to not exist anymore. If there was another nation nearby, its opinion would be going down by 3. Uh, and it is so small because the amount of aggressive expansion is based on the total development of what I am taking, and the total development of both of these provinces is probably 3 each. So, yes, let's become a physically larger nation for the first time ever. Just telling us we no longer have casus belli against those nations which don't exist anymore. Ah, and here is that mechanic that I had been telling you about, where a nation, once you, in order to take it, really, uh, you need to be able to core it, and now I can core both of these. And until they're cored, I will suffer a little bit from overextension, though, again, very little development. Overextension will be a tiny amount. And there's also another mechanic I haven't really addressed called war exhaustion, which basically just means the longer you've been at war, the more unhappy your people become. Oh, but look! I can click this button here and become a settled horde and gain all of these benefits. 1 colonist, which will allow me to colonize a province one at a time. Small boosts to manpower and force limits. Horde unity, national supply limit, movement speed, but it's worth noting that these are replacing the benefits that I was getting already for being a nomadic horde, whatever the title for that was. So I was already getting a 20% movement speed, so I'm losing that in favor of a 20% movement speed increase. But on the whole, these perks feel good to me. Especially that colonist. I like that colonist a lot. And as an added little bonus down at the bottom there, you see I'm going to gain 1 base tax, 2 base manpower, 1 base production in Emisbar, which is my capital right now, and will remain my capital for the foreseeable future. Colony has become self-sustaining. I have a colony. Why? Okay. For some reason, it created and immediately completed a colony in Enakust. And that colony has 8 development, which is a good chunk of my total development now. And it produces gems, which are a very valuable thing to produce. You know, wool value 2.5, cattle 2, gems 5. So I don't know why it just gave me this spontaneous gift, but I'm very happy about it. Some of that boost was presumably from that perk we took a minute ago, this higher developed colonies perk. Which means that now that we presumably have a colonist... Okay, we need to choose our native policy, which is our policy for dealing with whoever already lives the places we want to move into. We can choose to coexist with them, which means that they will not rise up against us. We can choose to trade with them, which means they will be less likely to rise up against us, and also occasionally assimilate, which will add to the population of the colony. And it needs to hit, I think, 1,000. And once it, I think it like starts at 50 and needs to grow to 1,000, and then once it becomes 1,000, it becomes basically another official part of our nation. Or we can repress the natives, which means that more people will just come out here to settle sometimes. Now, in the normal game, when settling the new world, it's often prudent to just use coexistence, because that means you don't have to have an army present, because they won't rise up against you anyway. But repressing the natives will make the colony grow faster. Obviously, it also makes you a terrible person. But let's be honest, colonizing kind of makes you a terrible person anyway. And, well, we are literally monsters. So I'm now sending my colonists to recolonize the province that was my one and only province for most of the game up until now. And as you can see, there are listed 1,000 natives, which means that every now and then, just by random chance, a force of 1,000 will rise up to attack me. Aggressiveness determines how often that will happen, 4% per month. And ferocity determines how powerful they are. And ferocity 1 means that they have a 0% damage bonus, so these guys are pretty weak, and if I just leave a single regiment here, we will probably be able, well, we will be able to dispatch them handily. I am now losing a lot of money. Okay, I'm not really over force limits. I'm still well below force limits. I'm spending a lot on reinforcements. Well, let's allow my forces to reinforce. I like being at full army strength. I'm just not sure how... Like, when did I lose that many... Ah, well, it's not a big deal. That having been said, I think I'll cut maintenance quite a bit. Another thing is that colonial maintenance costs to... Sorry, what is this unit of money again? Whatever. I'll call them ducats again because I forgot. Um, yes, maintaining this colony costs 2 ducats a month. I could pull this slider down, spend less, but that would cut down on how quickly it grows, and I would very much like it to grow as quickly as feasibly possible. Other benefits, um, I'm now actually gaining quite a bit more money just by virtue of my nation in and of itself. Up to this point, most of my income has been from my subjects, but now I'm actually gaining a respectable amount of money from taxes, production, and trade. And as you can see down here, it's kind of it's not that important, but it's what really caught my eye as an indicator that I can now take a loan for 13 crowns. That's what it is, crowns. I can now take a loan of 13 crowns, whereas before it was just like 2 or 3. And that's because how big a loan you can take and how much you get from debasing your currency is based on how high your income is in the first place. Oh, and look at that! Since my nation is now much larger, my economic base is higher, a bunch of my subjects are okay with me again. Burning Hooves, are you one of them? Yes. Can I annex you into Great Horde? Oh, integrate one of the hordes that we subjugated using their people to colonize new lands and upgrade our capital. Well, that's strange. I can annex them, or at least I can click the button and see if it tells me, no, we're not going to let you do that. Which would go through the normal process of making them part of my country, as if I had just vassalized them through normal EU4 mechanics. But this integrate horde raises questions. It's something new to me, and I'm not really sure what they mean by that. Using their people to colonize new lands and upgrade our capital. I suspect upgrade our capital just means that my capital's development is going to increase, which is, you know, all fine and dandy. Uh, my capital, my current capital is not really the best nation to, the best province to develop, but I'm not going to say no. And, well, I could move my capital, is the thing. Because if I were to move it to Enakust, then all that bonus development would be going somewhere with gems, which would be all the more beneficial to me. I could move my capital. It would have been much better if I had just made this my capital in the first place, but honestly, I'm not going to complain. Yeah, it's costly, but it's not terrible. It's costly, but it's probably worth it, ultimately. If it is, in fact, going to be throwing a bunch of random development at me spontaneously. Okay, so current development in Enikust is 8. Let's see what happens. Integrate Horde. Okay, we will integrate Burning Hooves and colonize 3 random provinces bordering our country. This would mean I would have 4 active colonies at once, and every colony will be costing me more than the last, and I can't afford to support that, so actually let's just annex them. And let's annex these guys too. This is another mechanic that I generally prefer to ignore, trade, because what's actually involved in trade tends to be insanely complicated. But I did notice that it was telling me I had an unassigned merchant. But looking around, nobody's actually within trade range, so that doesn't actually matter right now. Oh, Runebringer wants a royal marriage. Sure, why not? Wow. Wild Hunt is growing at breakneck speeds. As our reinforcements start to complete, the cost of reinforcement is going down. Although it looks like that will end with us still being in the negative from money, so actually I'm inclined to just make my army a little bit smaller. After all, we clearly don't need it to be as big as it is anymore. And another thing that depends on the total development of your vassals is how quickly you can annex a vassal. And so this won't take very long at all. And when you annex a vassal, not only do you get their land, you also get their army. We're still losing money. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. With the union of Kaiserlakan II and Milgesh, we have gained not only a spouse, but also a new ally in the realm. The Vine Carver is an old and influential family, and their seat in Alcarbaith is a jewel of the Horde. Of course, friendship has to go both ways, and Milgesh will be expected to speak for her kin, while Arkan will be expected to consider such advice very carefully. This gives us 3 reduced unrest in Alcabaeth, which is presumably the province that our wife is from, as well as reduced local missionary strength. So if I had any interest in converting their religion, it would be very, very difficult. And some monthly autonomy change, which... Wait, where is Alcabaeth? Oh, it's this one right here that we're in the process of settling in the first place. Well, autonomy is a non-factor for colonies, and yeah, I suspect that just plus +0.1 a month would be probably a non-issue anyway. And we've got a new heir. Oh, and a new queen. I guess we only just now got married. Well, we kind of need to do something about money. Uh, as we will be running out within just a few months. And, one thing we could do about money is going to war, but that would require us to raise maintenance, which will cause us to run out of money even faster. What other options do I have? Like, I could do base currency, but that will only extend us by a little bit. I could lower colonial lanes. I'd really rather not, but I might have to. Or I could compromise on army size even further. Although it looks like in order to make my army small enough, I would have to practically cut it in half. Although the Wild Hunt and their subjects have between them an army size of about 35,000. So if I were to go to war, I could expect to take some serious losses. So rather than, carelessly cutting my army in half, I could do it with purpose. Yes, sacrificing my army for financial reasons. And we have now finished integrating our vassals, the 2 that we were integrating. Which, on the plus side, gives us that tiny bit more economic base, so I can now debase our currency for a larger boost. The downside of debasing your currency is that it causes corruption, which will increase the monarch point cost of other things from now on. And our primary way of reducing corruption is by rooting out corruption, which does cost us a little bit of money. So in a manner of speaking, I am kind of just borrowing money. Oh, I can now make new states. At present, these three are a state. This is not a core. Okay, I haven't finished coring it yet. When an area is a core, it can be a state core or it can be a territorial core. And territorial core, it will never give you as much value as a state core will. You're only getting about 10% of the total benefit of it. And there's a bunch of complicated stuff that goes into whether or not you can make something a state core that I just really don't want to explain right now. It's not that important. Well, okay, it kind of is. I cannot, at this moment, make this into a state core because the only province I have in it is this one here, which I gained through conquest and then needed to core. And until it is cored, I can't make it a state core. Meanwhile, these two up here I gained by annexing vassals, and therefore it is already considered a core province because it was a core province to the vassal that I annexed. Which means that I can make them into state cores right now. Why might I not want to do that? Well, there's a limit to how much land I can have as state cores. It's represented right here. As like so many other things in this game, it depends on total development. So I am so far away from needing to worry about it. I'm going to turn both of these into states. And that 10% benefit problem that comes from 90% autonomy, that will slowly start to tick down from here. And eventually I will be able to gain the full benefit of having these two provinces as well as any other provinces in the state, which you can see outlined here and here. That I managed to acquire. On which note, that's actually a good reason to annex Glorious Charge. Although their Liberty Desire is, at present, too high. I believe they actually gain a little bit of Liberty Desire because I annexed some vassals. Either directly... no, I don't see a direct... oh, wait, no. There it is. It's actually from diplomatic reputation. Annexing a vassal gives you a -3 to diplomatic reputation, which gives everything a +12 to its Liberty Desire. That having been said, I'm pretty sure that doing it again won't make the penalty bigger. It'll just reset the timer. So I kind of want to keep annexing vassals if I can. If I got anybody on the lake that I can take advantage of. It's Skyblot, Ruinbringer, and 100 Hooves. Looks like the answer to that is no, unfortunately. Let's see. I can integrate 100 Hooves. Where are... Oh, yeah, Skyblot and... Okay, that's Skyblot over there. Where's Ruinbringer? You can pull up this search function by pressing F. Ah, they're way the heck up here now. Well, I am in no hurry to annex you. Let's annex these guys. Oh, must have at least one core province that is close enough for us to core. That factor again. Maybe that's why they give us the integrate horde option, so that, you know, grabbing subjects tends to be such a far-flung affair, just as a rule. They want us to be able to, not exactly annex them, but still take advantage of them in a sense. Well, 102 is within range. I see less immediate benefit to annexing them, but I still want to. Annexing them will mean that I will be able to colonize someplace immediately next to the ocean, which presumably will unlock that grand prize I was seeking a few minutes ago of being able to start taking human land. Although, come to think of it, you know, as we've already seen, I can annex land that is just a tiny bit away from my own. My coring range is at least far enough to annex 100 Hooves, which means that from there I should be able to annex these colonies of Sinisadma? So one way or another, I might actually already be there, so to speak. Okay, colonial expansion. It would seem that our harsh treatment of the Plain Centaurs people living in Alcarbaith has paid off in a massive way. Forcing those primitives off their rich, fertile soil has created new opportunities for our settlers to take their place, and our colonial companies have already begun exploiting the ancestral land of the Plains Centaur. Sounds a little weird, given that we are ourselves Plains Centaurs. But they request financial aid to complete the construction of the new settlement. It would spend 30 crowns, and Alcarbaith will gain 200 population, which will go a long way toward completing this. And increase settle chance and global settler increase. Or I could refuse, gain a smaller amount of population, but global settler increase will go down. And what that is have a 17% chance per month of gaining 45 settlers. I also just automatically gain 35 per year, so as one might imagine, this 17% chance of an extra 45 speeds things up quite a bit. I don't currently have 30 crowns, but honestly, it feels worth my while to debase currency again and maybe even start taking loans in order to make this happen. This will last for 2 years. This will last for 2 years. But it will speed things up so much, I think it might actually save me money in the long run. So, yes. And debase currency. Corruption is growing. But the worst thing that this does is increase all power costs. So it makes teching up costs more, which taking up was already absurdly expensive. Another 4% isn't going to be the end of the world. Also, the bigger the population of a colony is, the greater the new settler chance becomes. So, yes, on the whole, that feels like it was very worth doing. Now, let's go to war. Oh, their army has actually grown a little bit. That makes me a little bit nervous, but, paranoia save. I'm still pretty sure I can handle them because, that army won't entirely be in one stack. No, it will be in about 5 stacks, one of which will be the Wild Hunts, which will presumably be huge and in the ballpark of 30,000. So I have plenty of reason to be nervous. Let's subjugate. I could just take land. Subjugation seems like a better idea. And there's that first loan. Let's not allow our forces to reinforce and actually dismiss another soldier or another regiment. But we are losing money pretty dang fast now. I'm pretty sure that I won't actually be reinforcing this month. But most of that is just straight up the cost of my army, though. Wow. Um, did I lose the benefit of the mission that was cutting my maintenance in half? I think that's what happened. These the Colossal Horde mission was cutting my maintenance cost in half, and that must have worn off. Either that or it just got canceled when I settled. I don't think it canceled when I settled though, so I guess it's just. But it was supposed to last 50 years, and it hasn't even been 50 years since the game started. So yeah, I must have just it must have been because I settled. Which means I am taking loans alarmingly fast. Where am I reinforcing? Do I have another army? No. It must just be for whatever is just dying, like, right now. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm no longer paying nearly so much. Uh, really feel like I need to find their main army so that I can do battle with it. So that I don't need to fear allowing my army to become smaller. And I think that's our third loan. Hello, enemy army, where are you? You are still pretty large. So, aha. Yes, taking loans has consequences. I do need to pay them back. They will be paid back automatically. Uh, and to the tune of, I believe, 20% more than what they gave me in the first place. This also increases inflation, which will increase other costs. And then ultimately there is also an upper limit to how many loans you can take. And if you exceed that limit, you will simply go bankrupt. So I just got a good chunk of my army killed. Let's consolidate half the army. Which brings me down to 21 regiments. And makes my army maintenance, well, it's only 2.7 at the moment, but that's because that's only the maintenance on the people who are still alive. That will actually go back up eventually. And then I will be paying for reinforcements on the ones I didn't combine. Although I also want to turn around and face this army. So I'm going to shift consolidate, allow attach, and hopefully some of my, like, the black charges will come with me. And let's slow down to speed 3 to manage the war more carefully and try to fight these guys. Okay, that went well. I even stack wiped them. And now we aren't losing money at a terrifying pace anymore. We are still losing money, but the pace isn't terrifying. And we have gained 2 core provinces down here. And let's make this a state, which costs a little bit more admin power. Which is good because that secures us a little bit more desperately needed income. Shift consolidate. And let's get the siege on the capital started. And let's get my main force. Uh-oh. See, they've recovered a little bit, and now they're going to... yeah, that stack's going to get wrecked. That's regrettable. Ow, that was painful. I just lost 4,000 dudes for no good reason. And as an added bonus, that means that my remaining stack is not substantially more powerful. Actually, given their general kicks a lot of ass, I think they could take me. This suddenly became scary. Let's see if we can pick off these smaller stacks before they can join with the big one. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now I'm in trouble. I am in big trouble. Because my army is committed. I cannot tell them not to take this move. The Wild Hunt main army will catch my army. Their general is a lot better than mine. In fact, they have 9 shock, which is not something you can normally get. This must be like a special event general. What tech are they on? They're on tech 4. I am on tech 4, pretty sure. Yes, I'm on tech 4. Try rolling another general. This general is a tiny bit better at shock and way better at maneuver. Not that maneuver actually helps during a fight. Let's try rolling another general. No, that one's actually useless. So let's kick that one out. Honestly, though, the fact that I was able to get one with 5 maneuver does give me hope. No. Wow, you really don't want to give me anything good. Just spent all my military points for nothing. Okay. Shift consolidate, give ourselves the best chance we possibly can. And fingers crossed. Wait a minute. Okay. Those crossed swords led me to think that the battle was unavoidable, but either because our maneuver is now so high, or because this province is really big and this one is tiny, we will actually be able to get out of here before they arrive. So, holy crap, wow. Oh, but the only direction by which we can leave this province is back the way we came. So that small blessing was actually meaningless. And now they're going to be able to bring even more of their army to bear here. And on the first phase of combat, they got a result of 8 from their... Okay, now that's interesting. Their general is listed as having 9 shock, but it's only giving them a +6, which I think is the normal cap. So despite having what's listed as an enormously overpowered general, it's only giving them the normal benefit. That is small relief, but because we're still getting our butts kicked, and it's only going to get worse. Ugh. Oh. And for some reason, our army is retreating to here. See, normally, when you get defeated, you will run basically as far as you possibly can. Can we get out of this war? No. I guess the subjugation casus belli means that we are committed. So we are about to lose the rest of our army. We now have no army. And they are creaming our subjects. So, the best thing I can hope for now is for other factors to tick in our favor. But they are on the full aggro warpath now, which means we might actually be kind of screwed. I can't afford to raise another army. I just don't have the money. I could take out a bunch more loans. Unfortunately, there are some of these factors that are actually going to tick against us. This war was a mistake. Although there are certainly parts of it that would have gone better if I had just done a little better. Kept my army together a little better, not lost 4,000 troops for nothing. Interestingly, the Wild Hunt's main army does not seem to be willing to commit to attack these 1,800 soldiers. The big factor swinging is Wild Hunt is making gains. How much they think they're making gains is varying what looks kind of randomly, but yeah, they are making gains, so they aren't exactly eager to leave the war. Relative strength of alliances is sliding slowly in their favor as they rebuild their army. Our war score just took a substantial hit. Honestly, the thing to do now seems to be to just let the war run its course. I doubt they can subjugate me, and may not even actually try. Although, as this is a show superiority war, it depends mostly on number of battles won. Which they have won so many battles, that has now swung in their favor. What if I offer tribute? What do you want? Centaur subjugation. Hmm. Have to seriously consider what I want to do now. Do I accept the hit? Become a subject of another nation? And then see if I can break free? Because my liberty, no doubt they will have the same problem here as I do. High liberty desire subjects. In fact, I'm pretty sure they would inherit all of my subjects. So they would presumably get unmanageably high liberty desire. But the thing about that that makes me really uncomfortable is it kind of resets things to the beginning. In the best case scenario, it means that even if I break free, I will have 0 subjects. And that's assuming I can break the other nations free at the same time, because if I can't, I will still have basically handed the entire map over to the Wild Hunt. And if that is the case, then that puts what is, I'm pretty sure, an insurmountable obstacle in my way. There doesn't seem like there'd be any coming back from that. And that's if I can actually break free at all, which is based on the assumption that a good chunk, that I and a good chunk of the other subject nations will have a 100% liberty desire. Because if not, That's just a war I really wouldn't be able to win in the first place. So, I really hate the idea of save scumming to get myself out of this. You know, up to this point, I've used loading to rectify minor mistakes, whereas this is going back several years in order to undo, what was otherwise a major decision, pivotal even, in order to fix a war that was either ill-advised or mismanaged. Of course, there is a third option. Concede defeat, end this series at a loss at step 2. I could do that. Admit that I failed and just take the loss. Which, unfortunate that I can't continue this series if I were to do that. I mean, I could just like accept defeat here and then later change my mind and load the save that I left there. Um, but I did most of what I wanted to with this series. I discovered and shared with you what the whole deal with the centaurs is. All the new centaur specific mechanics, learning how they operate and what their mission tree is about and all that. Admittedly, I didn't get to see if there was maybe some event chain that, pushed me into trying to conquer the Lake Nations. But we made our discoveries. That's the thing about playing games is sometimes you lose. So, at least for now, uh, I think I will call this game lost. It's getting a little late in the morning. So, I guess I'll just sign off for now. I've been Gate, and I hope you have a